What's up YouTube? My name is Uncle Smokey, and this is Uncle Smokey Stock Trades. And before I start this video, I would like to say, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So please take what I say with a grain of salt, and do your own DD.
What's going on, MetaFam? So quick video tonight. At least I'm going to try and make this quick, and I'm going to make this so that everybody can understand this. At least I hope. MetaMaterials put out an 8K today, and this is a shocker to me. I'm sure it's a shocker to everybody else. I have no clue what this is. I'm learning with every one of you, like I generally do. We learn together. It's how this has rolled for 2 years now. So today, MetaMaterials put out an 8K stating that they received a Wells notice on July 20th of 2023. The enforcement staff of the SEC provided MetaMaterials, John Berta, and George Palacaris with Wells notices relating to a previously disclosed SEC investigation. The investigation into, among other things, the merger involving Torchlight Energy Resources. Wells notice each states that the SEC had made a preliminary determination to recommend that the SEC file a civil enforcement action against the recipients alleging violations of certain provisions of the U.S. securities law, specifically stating Section 17A, 10B, 13A, 13B2A, 13B2B, and 14A, and Regulation FD. It also further states inside here that a Wells notice is neither a formal charge or wrongdoing or a final determination and the recipient has violated any laws. Now, with that being said, I'm not going to dive into this any further. This is honestly a whole lot of hokum. I think this is just the finishing. This is like the finishing touches of what's going on. And of course, with everything that's going on with MMTLP, MMAT, the filings with West Christian, and all of those things, this could be being brought up in either a retaliation or in necessity to finalize any filings that were done from back in the day to get the process completed. So, I don't want to throw out any speculation or anything like that. I just want to try and give some people some education in this as I get my own. So basically what I want to go over first on this is related to previously disclosed SEC investigations. I think this has solely everything to do with how the Torchlight MetaMaterials merger went down, the filings that were used, the way MMTLP became tradable, certain things like that, the way it was all writ. I think that is what this is all about. The reason why I say that is because if you go back in time and you go to other filings for MetaMaterials, this right here is the 10Q from September 30th, 2021. They state in here that they received subpoenas from the SEC Division of Enforcement in a matter captioned the matter of Torchlight Energy Resources Inc. It later became an investigation, and it has been ongoing for about 18 months, roughly almost 2 years. So I definitely think that's what this is about, but I also think there's a possibility that West Christian's investigation, his current action ongoing with MetaMaterials, has also sparked some interest. Remember, he's not just with MetaMaterials, he was also hired by Flamethrower to also dig into the illegal trading of MMTLP. So, there's a good chance that that's the reason why that came out. Now, with that being said, I want to go right on over to Investopedia. You know how much I love Investopedia. You can go to Investopedia.com. You can Google anything you want, and it takes you to Investopedia if Investopedia has an answer. Wells notices, what it means and how it works. A Wells notice is a notification issued by regulators to inform individuals or companies of completed investigations where infractions have been discovered. It usually takes the form of a letter, which notifies recipients both the broad nature of the violations uncovered as well as the nature of the enforcement proceedings to be initiated against the recipient. So I'm not going to go further onto that because I think there's a better explanation of all of this in my next slide here. And I want to thank C-Plant for bringing this to us. C-Plant is one of the longest and oldest meta bulls. He was a Torchlight bull for many, many, many years before it ever shifted over. He has been in the oil and gas industry for many years. And he has been a very good friend and supporter of my channel and, of course, of Metamaterials as well. So I wanted to make sure I give him all the credit in the world for finding this site. This is www.securitiesfrauddefense.net. Everything you need to know about the SEC Wells Notice. I'm going to read this verbatim because it's really good. If you have received a Wells Notice from the SEC, there are a few things you should know. While not a good thing, it does not necessarily mean that you will be charged. Read on to learn more about what an SEC Wells Notice is, how the process works, and why it matters. So, question number 1. This is everybody's question. What is an SEC Wells Notice? In its simplest form, a Wells Notice is a letter or telephone call from the SEC indicating that the SEC staff intends to recommend that a civil enforcement action be taken against an individual and or the company. The Wells Notice will typically set forth the alleged violations of the securities laws and may generally specify the remedies sought: injunction, disengorgement, prejudgment interest, penalties, and bars. All of these things were listed inside of this. If you look right here, they're right down here. There's all of the stuff. These are the these are the rules they violated allegedly. Blah blah blah. Okay. Yeah, somebody pointed that out that I say blah 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 a lot. Sorry, I don't mean to do that. Anywho. So, let's keep reading. Notices sent out after the SEC staff has completed its investigation, but prior to any formal legal action being filed. It is sort of a shot across the bow. Okay, so this is basically the initial warning shot coming from the SEC to the company and individuals, stating that there could be legal action coming, and we're going to give you an opportunity. So here we go. How does the SEC Wells Notice process work? The SEC is under no formal legal obligation to issue a Wells Notice. It is discretionary. For example, in cases involving ongoing fraud, where there exists the possibility that evidence will be destroyed or funds will be dissipated, the SEC will typically not issue a Wells Notice. In most cases, however, it does issue them. Upon receipt of a Wells Notice, the targeted party usually has just 2 weeks, although extensions are often provided, to provide a written and or oral response as to why the SEC is wrong, either in part or in whole. So I'm going to reread that again without all the parentheses. Upon receipt of SEC Wells Notice, the targeted party usually has just 2 weeks to provide a written and or oral response as to why the SEC is wrong, either in part or in whole. This is called a Wells submission. So now the company, George and John, all have 2 weeks or longer, if there's an extension granted, to come up with a reason to handwrite or to do a video of some kind, to an oral, to conversate, whatever it may be, to come to them with the reason why they are wrong. The Wells Notice makes clear that the facts are assumed to be as considerations. Hang on. The Wells Notice makes clear that the facts are assumed to be as the SEC has alleged. Okay, sorry about that. And that any arguments in opposition should be limited by the law and policy considerations. A Wells submission is, per the SEC, not a privileged settlement communication and may be used against the submitting party. The Wells submission will be provided to the Commission when it decides on whether to authorize the case. Next question. Okay, so first, before I go to that, so they're stating in here that if they do put that submission out there, it is possible that they use this against the company. It's not a privileged settlement communication. They could actually take this and use this in the court of law. Hey, you verbally admitted your wrongdoings right here, and you just didn't realize you did it. So they have to write this very carefully. They have to be very selective in the words they use, because if they word this wrong, they could use this against them. So while it is very difficult to talk to the SEC out of bringing a case once it has issued a Wells notice, although not impossible, as this person has done it before. The process provides defense counsel an excellent opportunity to educate the SEC staff about critical facts it may be unaware of, highlight weaknesses in its case, and successfully negotiating a settlement on lesser charges and sanctions that are being proposed in the Wells notice. At the very least, the SEC Wells notice process provides SEC defense counsel the opportunity to either convince the SEC staff to drop the case altogether or meaningfully discuss settlement options before the case is filed and becomes forever public. So what I'm gathering from all of this is that they're giving the company the time to be able to highlight weaknesses in the case, to be able to provide a better reasoning behind the way things went the way they went, or to just simply say, hey, we do have all of those things, you're just overlooking them, whatever it may be. So, yeah, here's what I'm going to say about all of this to make this video short, sweet, and to the point. I would wait to see what the company does beyond this. It seems to me that they've got time to respond. This is nothing final. There is a process that has to happen with this. Is this a serious situation? Absolutely. But is it as serious as maybe social media is going to make it out to be? Possibly not. Again, I want to reiterate, I do think this is from the original investigation that is branched from all the way back in September of 2021. I don't feel it has anything to do with the U3 halt or the fraud that happened on that end. I don't. Could this be in retaliation to the West Christian thing? Possible. Absolutely possible. However, we won't know for a little while yet. Now, with that being said, the other thing that we could hope for is that once this is all done, much like Coinbase did, that they make their response public to us as well. Transparency is all we ask for. So we can hope that the company is as transparent as they can be, and they release their statement to the SEC in rebuttal to the reasons why they have been given this Wells notice. Now, I also would like to state that I know that the company is on blackout period. So they have earnings coming up, middle of August-ish. So generally, you won't hear much from anybody. I wouldn't look for George to respond to anybody's tweets. I wouldn't look for George to put out a big, massive tweet. If he does, fantastic. But I wouldn't count on it. So don't get your hopes up for him to come out and explain everything or hop on Spaces and do a space call with anybody. This is probably not going to happen. And believe me, I always put my hat in the ring for the first person to talk. And I would hope that they come to me if they wanted to do that. So, anywho, with that being said, the final thing I want to talk about is if you would like to, you can hop back over here. I've highlighted all of these sections. Feel free to go back into these sections and read what they're about. Just briefly, one of them states that they didn't put out a proper proxy to protect investors. Another one, which is this one here. This form filed with the SEC is when a definitive proxy statement is given to shareholders and helps the SEC ensure that shareholders' rights are upheld. They're saying that there was something wrong with that when there wasn't. We already know that. There's talking about record and bookkeeping. That's what the 13 BA, all that stuff is. It's about proper bookkeeping and record keeping of the assets. That I do believe was done properly. And then you've got your 17. You can go back and read that. That is this the 17 one? No, that's not the 17 one. This is the 17 one. 17 one's unlawful to employ a device, scheme, or artifact to defraud, obtain money or property, things like that. You can even go over and look at Regulation FD. Again, this is Cornell Law School, but you can just Google it and you'll find other ones. I prefer to use this one. So that one goes to the basically selected disclosures, reporting statuses, and anti-fraud liability. I urge everybody to go in and read these. It's very simple to do. You just go back to that 8K that MetaMaterials put out. They list the sections where the violations are alleged to have been committed, and you can go in and read them. Strictly up to you. But here's what I'm going to suggest. Hold your speculation. and just wait for the company to tell you something, because that, in my opinion, is the best place to get any information from. We can speculate all day long on social media. We can ask people this, that, and the other, and ultimately nobody knows the real answer except for the horse's mouth. And when it comes from the horse's mouth, that's when I put out a video just like I did today. So with that being said, all of this was my opinion, and in my opinion, I think we're going to be just fine. But then again, I'm riding the waves, I'm buying the dips, I'm really enjoying these low costs. So in my opinion, it doesn't really hurt me any to see 20 cents on the stock price, because to me, that's a loading zone. But you guys do you have your own opinions. You guys assess your own way of thinking about this. That's what's great about being a human. We have free will, we have free thinking, and I urge everybody to think freely and read this themselves. Establish your own narrative. I guess that's what everybody's been doing. I don't have a problem with that. With that being said, I'm shutting this video down. Like I said, I didn't want to speculate too much. I just wanted to kind of get this out there, get a little bit of an education behind the Wells notice. I don't think it's as bad as everybody thinks it is. They have time, and I'm gonna let them have that time. So deuces, everybody. Hit the like button, comment for the algorithm, all that good jazz, blah blah blah. Deuces.